Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Neptune, square opposition, or inconjunct one's natal Black Moon Lilith. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Neptune, they can be about dreams, fantasies, inspiration, self-sacrifice, ideals, unrealism, just things that are unrealistic. Now, when transit Neptune is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Black Moon Lilith. Now, I'm going to elaborate on that. When I say basically adverse aspect, well, what I'm saying is squares and oppositions in astrology, of course, those are negative and adverse aspects. And the inconjunct, though it's neutral, neutral aspects can have good and bad qualities in them, coupled with the fact that an inconjunct can often require an adjustment, a transition, and those things, of course, that can cause some tension and exasperation. So collectively, basically, I do see this as an adverse transit. Now, again, when you have a transit Neptune basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Black Moon Lilith, well, it may manifest in dreams, fantasies, inspiration, self-sacrifice, ideals, things, unrealism, things that are unrealistic. Those things might actually conflict in a way with the negative manifestation of the sign. Maybe you're not inspired to deal with the negative energy connected with your BML placement, or it could be something where if you're doing something with self-sacrificing or expressing some altruism, it might be harder to cope or to really deal with that negative energy that is being expressed from that sign. I mean, say if the natal, Black Moon Lilith is in the is in Sagittarius, it could be, something where it might be very reckless or extravagant or very self-righteous energy. Something where maybe it could be something with gambling. Maybe there's some compulsive gambling going on. Or, say, especially if this makes an adverse aspect to the natal Pluto, or even in Leo. I mean, Leo, Black Moon Lilith in Leo can a negative, part of the person that you don't want, that doesn't want to, come out, wants to be concealed. Something you may want to suppress could be very extravagant. The natal BML in Leo as well. And the thing about this too, though, I mean, the Black Moon Lilith can also be connected, with a formidable adversary and people that could figure very prominently or play a provocative role in our life scheme. Now, the thing about it is, it might be something where you might feel more like daydreaming, fantasizing, or just resting or relaxing, than try to deal with somebody that might have become, a powerful enemy in your life, somebody that has become adversarial, or this is, or even people that are prominent, people that play a prominent role in your life. And it's interesting. I have my natal Black Moon Lilith in Leo, and I've dealt with a number, of Leos in my life. They have figured very prominently in my life. I have the BML in the 4th house, and they figured very strongly. A number of them in my home life. So when I lived with my grandparents, both of them were Sun and Leo people. Somebody, I rented a spot out from one time. He's a Sun in Leo, and to say that Leo has figured prominently in my life would be a vast understatement. But anyway, getting to this transit again. Now, this is this BML it could represent that part that we want suppressed, that we don't want unveiled. It can be a dark side that we want to keep, under the rug, keep it in the closet, basically. So it might be, at this time, something happens, where you could be, you might not be, maybe something happens where you become, a little bit, and Neptune could be relaxed energy, or maybe something comes out as a result that you didn't really want to come out. Maybe that side of yourself you wind up expressing. Some could perceive it as a moment of weakness. It could be something where, sometimes we allow things to come out, around people that we trust. And it could be a situation where, again, Neptune can be more relaxed energy. The guard could be let down, and you may let out, that side, unleash that side that maybe you didn't want to come out. If the natal BML is in Aries, it could be a very more acerbic or acrimonious side. Maybe you didn't want people to see. Now, another thing too is that the Black Moon Lilith can also be connected with fixation and obsession. So it might be, something too where you have to be careful that even something with self-sacrificing and altruism, that it doesn't become something we're overly obsessed or fixated with. That it's something where, or even something that's very unrealistic at this time. Becoming, obsessed or fixated with things that may simply be unattainable is obviously not a good thing. The BML could also be connected with trauma. It could be physical trauma, emotional trauma. Scorpio, say if it's in Scorpio, could be one of a very strong psychological nature. It could be at this time where you don't, Neptune can be connected with the immune system. And I would say you're talking about, again, basically an adverse transit, that perhaps if there's a weakened immune system, it may exacerbate a physical related matter. If it's, say, the Black Moon Lilith is in Capricorn, it could be something with the bones or the knees or the joints or the hamstrings, perhaps even the gallbladder. Another thing too is that the BML is also connected with vengeance. It's revenge, and it's something where maybe you're trying to exact vengeance, and you might be confused on how to do it. It might be, or it could be something where you may have been deceived or you were bamboozled, and you maybe succumb to some kind of fraud, and you might be planning some revenge on this. And if this is something that's transpiring, I would don't take the law into your own hands. You want to take them to court, as the saying goes on that show. I think it was People's Court. Another thing too is that the Black Moon Lilith can be connected with that very strong, erotic side. The natal Black Moon Lilith is in Gemini, for example. It could be, being expressed toward toward younger people. It can be something where if you have this transit, maybe there might be some fatigue, some lethargy, some weakness, some tiredness. Maybe you might feel more like relaxing than expressing that erotic energy. It can be, if the Black Moon is in Taurus, it can be a very sensual, demonstrative, erotic side, perhaps. The Black Moon can be associated with something nefarious. And the thing about this too, this could be a time where you might feel, this time there might be something nefarious in your life where you're not overly inspired to deal with at this point in time. Maybe you just don't really know how to deal with it. Neptune can be about confusion. There may be difficulty in understanding what how to deal with this at this point in time. It might be something too where something could be happening. Say if the Black Moon Lilith is on Aquarius, or say for example you're dealing with some kind of cyber crime committed against you, and you might be confused as to why, what's actually, how did this happen? maybe you thought you had very good protection on this, and for whatever reason, it's still happening. As an example, hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now another thing. Now it's also another way this may manifest. It could be where sacrificing might conflict with dealing with a powerful enemy, and going back to the natal Black Moon Lilith in Aquarius as an example, say if it's in the 4th house, it could be perhaps somebody trying to disrupt, which is Aquarius, your emotional security, which is the 4th house. It could be through cyber threats as an example. Also too, chaos may challenge dealing with what you feel is that void, that emptiness in your life. Say, for example, if the BML is in Taurus in the 5th house, it could be stability and persistence, perhaps in love. And love, of course, is the 5th house in your love life. Also, too, another way this transit may be expressed, it could be where lethargy may adversely affect trying to embrace the higher level of the placement. Say if the BML is in Aries as an example, it can be perhaps through, might maybe something with pioneering or leadership as an example. Maybe it's something where we're also too looking at this transit, or standing up for others, showing courage and fortitude. Also issues with the feet, if you have had them, especially before this transit, if they were existing issues with the feet, the toes, the lymphatic or immune system, those things may conflict or may actually exacerbate existing trauma, make it harder to deal with that trauma, or maybe it might even exacerbate it. Say if the natal BML is in Sagittarius as an example, it could be something with the liver or the pancreas or the hips, or the BML is in Virgo, it could be something with the spleen or something intestinal, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.